Welcome to our final webinar. So we know that if you've watched all the previous webinars, that it must have been a lot of information for you. And you're probably wondering, so what should my teens actually be eating? The nutrition space is clearly a tricky one to navigate. So we thought we would summarize all the information we have given you into one simple how-to video. If you haven't watched the previous webinars, we strongly encourage you to do so, as a lot of the content we provide in this video will draw on information from previous ones. So the key messages we would like you to take away from this final webinar is that teenagers have the highest energy needs of any age group, but it's still highly individualized. Just like what we covered with you in webinar 1, listening to your body is just as important for teens as it is for you. And finally, involving your teens in meal prep and even grocery shopping can have a significant positive effect on their relationship with food. So to kick off the final webinar, we thought we would show you how much teens should be eating at a minimum, according to high quality research. For boys, this ranges from roughly 11,000 to 12,500 kilojoules, and for girls, roughly 9,500 kilojoules. This is a lot more when compared to the needs for adults, which can range from 7,000 to 9,000 kilojoules. This is because just about all regions of their body are growing, their muscles, their bones, and even their neurons. But please take these kilojoule numbers with a grain of salt because energy needs are highly individualized. Bodies come in all shapes and sizes, and some kids are way more active than others, which means they need more food. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. This webinar is all about giving you an idea on how much food your teens may need and practical meal ideas to help achieve that.
Here is an example day of eating 10,000 kilojoules assuming no exercise, which is a pretty ballpark number between the male and female requirements. So for breakfast, having 1 cup of whole grain cereal, such as porridge, Weet-Bix, or muesli, with a cup of milk is okay, but we can definitely make this more filling by adding the apple slices with peanut butter. This adds fiber, protein, phytochemicals, and healthy fats. For morning tea, a protein bar with seeds is a great choice because it has protein, healthy fats from the seeds, fiber, and phytochemicals, and it's school-friendly. Bananas are a great pick-me-up at this time of the day because the energy from its carbohydrates are released pretty quickly. Then the sour worms are an extra energy boost. Notice how there are only 6 sour worms in there though, enough to provide a quick sugar fix, but not enough to fill up on to the extent that they won't want to eat the banana or the protein bar, which means that they would miss out on all those good nutrients I just mentioned. For lunch, opting for a high protein, high fiber option will keep them full until they get home. We love chicken sandwiches because we get lots of fiber from the wholemeal bread and the protein from the chicken and cheese. The vegetables add crunch, freshness, and color, so opt for whatever veggies your child prefers. For the post-school munchies, veggie sticks with hummus and crackers are a personal favorite of ours. There's lots of fiber, phytochemicals, and some protein from the hummus. For dinner, a quick beef and veg stir fry with brown rice on the side is packed full of fiber, phytochemicals, and protein. Please note the serving sizes too. There is much more veg in the stir fry than there is beef, so serving 2 cups worth will help hit those healthy plate model quantities of half a plate veg, a quarter plate protein, and the remaining quarter plate of rice. For dessert, Greek yogurt will provide some more protein, calcium to help meet their requirements, and some probiotics, which is great for their gut health. Berries are a great sweet addition. Not only are they packed with phytochemicals that act as prebiotics, but together with the yogurt, they're a much more nutritious option compared to something like a packet of cookies. We also love a good glass of Milo, which gives an extra boost of dairy and vitamins and minerals that are in the Milo. So overall, this is a well-balanced day that helps meet all their nutrition needs.
Now, on this slide, to the left is the meal plan we just showed you, and on the right, we have a different meal plan that's also equivalent to 10,000 kilojoules. We would like you to have a go at thinking about what nutrients are different and how this may affect your child's health. You can pause the video here to write down the main differences and the implications of these. We will provide answers in the next 5 seconds. So hopefully you were able to pick out these main differences. So we've got less veggies and less whole grains, which came from the porridge, the seed bar, brown bread, and brown rice. Ultimately, this gives us less fiber and phytochemicals in the diet. The implications of this are poorer gut health, which is also worsened by the lack of probiotics from the yogurt for dessert, and higher inflammation. Less fiber along with lower protein also makes you less full, which means you tend to eat more, and that is normally filled with more processed foods, which means the second diet is also higher in sugar from highly processed foods like the Fruit Loops and the Coke. It's also higher in saturated fat because we've got chips and more chocolate. Lastly, there is also 40% lower protein in the second diet, also due to more processed foods. When we have less protein, we tend to eat more because our body is trying to reach a minimum amount of protein in the diet.
Remember how we said that exercising increases your energy needs? This increase accounts for the fact that your teens still need to grow as exercising uses energy. Eating enough means that your teen can keep growing but are also able to perform well when doing their exercise. So here is how we can adjust that previous example of a 10,000 kilojoule day to account for exercise, such as soccer training. So we have the same breakfast and morning tea, but about 3 to 4 hours before exercise, we recommend having a larger meal, such as eating half an extra sandwich. 30 minutes to an hour before exercise, it's good to have a low-fiber carbohydrate to help provide extra fuel, such as an LCM bar. After training, we have the same afternoon tea, but also a high-protein fruit smoothie. Having protein after training is good to ensure your body has the right resources to rebuild and grow the muscles. Depending on how much exercise your child does and how intense it is, how much more your child needs to eat changes, and they may even need a larger serve at dinner as well. This is also highly dependent on your child's metabolism too, which is highly individualized as well, so it is always best to encourage your teen to listen to their hunger. You can even start introducing them to the hunger scale that we showed you in webinar 1. Now, this is just to show you what could be considered a normal amount of food for your teen, as you may be thinking, wow, that's a lot of food. And compared to what you may need to maintain your weight, it really is a lot of food, but it is what is needed for them to grow at the end of the day. So in these situations, we need to try and refrain from commenting on how much your child is eating, as like we said in webinar 2, this can lead to a poor relationship with food and negative body images. There is an exception for if your child is well under or well above a healthy weight and they have poor health. We don't have time to go through these scenarios specifically, but the same principles that we've been talking about apply. However, you may need more individualized advice from a dietitian.
So after all that, it can be hard to think of what to put in your kid's lunchbox. So here we've got some suggestions. We really like sandwiches and wraps because you can pack them with protein depending on the filling, as well as veggies and healthy fats. These are also some of our favorite snacks. We have linked some resources in the webinar description, so please check them out. Even if you implement everything we've just said, your child might come back home with their lunch untouched, and maybe they're even throwing it out. They may be doing this because they'd rather play with their friends or feel the need to study. Either way, eating helps fuel both those activities. Maybe their friends aren't eating lunch, so they feel the social pressure to not eat as well. Or perhaps they don't like what's in their lunchbox, so they would rather not eat or even buy lunch from the canteen. Whatever reason, hopefully these tips on the slide will help. Firstly, involve your teen in grocery shopping and meal prep. Not only will they appreciate the meal more, but they can also have a larger input into what they're eating. It will also teach them important life skills about how to shop, like understanding per kilo price comparisons, or teaching them about marketing and how to read labels, and how to cook. Secondly, if your child has gone most of the day without eating, it's a good idea to have healthy snacks ready to go when they come home ravenous and scour through the cupboards and fridge. Thirdly, and this one really relates to the start of the webinar, is to have an open conversation with your teen about their diet and listening to their body. Fourthly, a good tip is to minimize the number of items in the lunchbox itself, especially things that might be a bit messy or not as easy to eat. Pack a few things like an up and go or a yogurt pouch, because something is better than nothing. There's always more help if you need it. Kids are tricky and can be really fussy with food. If you're concerned they're not eating well, talk to your GP about seeing a dietitian for individualized advice.
This now concludes our webinar series. So the key things we want you to take away from our 5 videos are to prioritize your diet, your hunger signals, the foods that you buy, your body image, and your relationship with food. Hopefully your teen will pick up on this and they will follow. However, regardless, we encourage you to have open conversations with your teens about all the points listed in point 1. And finally, shifting your mentality to focus on adding rather than restricting is much more freeing and rewarding and will help impact your relationship with food. Thank you for watching.